Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sports Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
Busy.
Very busy.
Not bad, Dan. You?
I'm very good, thanks. We're also joined all the way from Dens Park by the one and only Michael Gannon. Mick, looks lovely and warm there for you.
Oh, also busy and cold.
I do have the benefits of a roaring fire, Mick. So
I do. I have noticed that. I've noticed that, Keith. Yeah. I'm going to get my long johns on today. It's a wee bit. It's I sort of saying it's officially big coat season started.
Well, look, obviously, Mick, you're there because Celtic, huge game in the title race, 2-0 defeat against Dundee. But before we get to that, Keith, some potentially big breaking news in regards to Rangers and Kevin Muscat.
Yeah, and very unexpected. Things seem to have taken a dramatic twist over the weekend. I think on Thursday night, Daniel, the situation was, it was almost, you felt, well, that's it, they've got there. Muscat had spoken to Andrew Kavanagh and to Parag Marath. I think it was a really positive meeting. I think that everybody in the room was perfectly content with the direction it was travelling. And I think it was really just a matter then of nailing everything down contractually. And the kind of, certainly my belief was by Thursday night that, you know, the search was over, that, you know, you had Danny Roll pulling out at the same time because he knew that it was going elsewhere. But I believe there's been a bit of an issue since then. You would call it probably a stumbling block. If it becomes something more serious than that, we'll soon know. But as things stand, whereas you might have expected everything to be nailed down over the course of the weekend, nothing has happened. And there seems to be a very strong suggestion that after the initial talks with Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marath, Kevin Muscat then had to go into another room, another round of talks, this time with Chief Executive Patrick Stewart, Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell, and Greta Steinson, who's the guy who kind of lurks around in the shadows, but is the sort of football guru for the 49ers. Whatever was said in those discussions, it seems to have led to a bit of an impasse. Now, I'm not saying that it can't be sorted, it won't be resolved. It could still be, but it's an issue that was unexpected, and they are no further forward than they were at the tail end of last week. Obviously, Kevin Muscat had a game to concentrate on Friday. I think what's telling, though, is that, you know, Neil McCann, as we'd said on the show, was basically primed to go into Ibrox at the weekend and to help out for the Dundee United game. Obviously, Neil McCann, if Kevin Muscat does come to town, is looked upon, and he'll be the assistant manager. And I think that Neil McCann and others were probably being lined up to go in and help out for the game against Dundee United and the upcoming games until such times as Kevin Muscat can get himself out of Shanghai and over to Glasgow. That didn't obviously happen at the weekend. And now it'll be really interesting to see if Steve Smith, the under-19s coach, is still in charge for the Europa League game against Brandbergen on Thursday night. Because that would then suggest that something is going badly wrong with the talks with Kevin Muscat. I know there's no great rush just now because it's going to be a few weeks anyway before he'd be able to get out of China. But regardless of that, this is an unexpected sort of a mishap and a potential stumbling block for the whole deal. People that are close around this deal are now concerned that it could fall over. Now, that's not to say it will, but it means there's an issue and it'll have to be resolved. And isn't it just funny that every time the name Kevin Thelwell or Greta Steinson or Patrick Stewart is raised, it's usually in connection with an issue and a mishap and a problem that the owners didn't foresee.
Well, look, we've got plenty of comments coming in. If you want to have your say on the Rangers managerial situation and, of course, Celtic's defeat at Dundee, please do so. Keith, why don't we take some comments, let comments come in on that, and maybe we'll talk about Celtic, if that's cool. Celtic's defeat first. Craig Marshall in the comments says, for any chance, this is Hearts' chance to win the league. Rangers and Celtic are absolutely honking. After the display at Dens Park today, Matt, you couldn't really disagree with him, could you?
No. Listen, Celtic are leaving the door wide open to I mean, Hearts or anyone else who gets that together this season, because Celtic are malfunctioning now on several levels. And this is a dismal display with Celtic today. I mean, really poor. It's been coming though. It's been coming for a while. They've got away with a few results this season, last minute winners here and there. Their lack of firepower, their complete bluntness in the final third is coming back to bite them. On a weekly basis now, and every game this season has been a struggle. This was a real struggle. Listen, I think first of all, Dundee were absolutely superb. I don't know where this performance came from, and this is a team that were absolutely leathered with Aberdeen recently. I just think it was a terrific performance. I mean, Stephen Prez done a job on Celtic. I thought they were defensively brilliant, a real threat in the counter, and it could have been more than two. Honestly, they could have been 2, 3, 4. Celtic had a few opportunities, nothing great. The VAR penalty kick decision wasn't a penalty. Really, really poor. And the alarm bells are going off all over Celtic right now. I mean, it's a club that is complete disharmony. The fans have not protest today. A ridiculous one throwing tennis balls onto the pitch. Delayed the game at the start. The anti-board chants and all that stuff. But the team on the pitch are not performing. And I also think now you're seeing, I think Brendan Rodgers is also pretty focused now as well. I think he got a wee bit of flack at the end as well. I think people are saying, okay, you have got a squad that's imbalanced and lacking quality, but they still should be doing better than this. So I think he's now in the fight. I think it's a bit of a watershed weekend. I think he's now coming into the blast zone as well, around the board. And it's Celtic's problems are mounting up. They've got Sturm Graz on Thursday night, must-win game to continue their Europa League hopes, and Tynecastle on Sunday. And at this point in time, you've only bet a bad quid on Celtic getting a result at Tynecastle next weekend. Which that would mean Hearts could go 8 points clear. In a few weeks' time, Hearts are playing the league when Celtic Rangers are playing the cup. So potentially, if games are all one left and centre at that point, could be talking 10, 11 points clear by November. Hearts. If Celtic don't think they're a title race, they better wake up and realise they are.
Mick, hold on a wee second here. Were you not on here just a couple of days ago, not that long ago, saying, come back to me at Christmas time and I'll tell you if Hearts are in a title race? You now seem to have been more convinced.
I wasn't a couple of days ago, probably was lying on the beach in Greece. No, but listen, results change opinion. So you don't think Celtic are going to go to Dundee where they've not lost in 37 years and get cuffed. So, I mean, it's becoming more and more apparent that there is a threat. So it's more the case that Celtic need to wake up to this threat, because they're not going to get it on their own way. Every single game has been a struggle for Celtic this season. There's no gimmies. That's not a situation you can continue for. Eventually, they catch up with you, and it is catching up with them. I can't see where the solutions lie. I mean, Rodgers after the game is saying that he's got to find some kind of solutions to get the side playing, whether it's a change of formation or structure or whatever it is, because the personnel can't change, obviously.
And that's the problem.
He's got problems all over the park.
But that is the problem. Anybody that looked at that squad, saw it was completely imbalanced at the end of the transfer window, going into the kind of course, the kind of running of the season, with a squad that just wasn't properly balanced. And we were talking, it's not through the benefit of hindsight we're saying this. We said it at the time.
No.
We said it at the time. They weren't properly tooled up in the attacking third of the pitch, the attacking areas. You're now looking at this. What's that? Is that the 6th game Celtic have failed to score in so far this season? When was the last time you heard a Celtic side, going on any run even remotely like that? The lack of creativity and firepower is the big problem, and that's why Hearts. I'm not saying they're pushing at an open door here, but what an opportunity they've got.
This is what I mean. I think they've got a chance, because Celtic are going to be basically just trying to mend and make do till January and then buy their way out of bother. But Hearts, what could happen when Tony Bloom might think, you know what, this is a big chance here, I'm going to tool up as well.
100%, Mick. 100%.
So the goalposts are moving on a weekly basis here, and Celtic, and like you say, this is not something that's happened overnight. I mean, Rodgers himself has been warning since the start of the summer. He's lost so much firepower at the team. When top goal scorer on this team is Benjamin Negrin, with 4 goals. I mean, we know who they've lost, and that firepower is badly missed. But quite what to do in the meantime to kind of get by, I don't know, because it doesn't look to be the solutions are in the squad at this point in time. I think Rodgers is now getting dragged into this as well, because he's having to find, kind of look for ways to make this work, and at the moment he hasn't found them. And the spotlight is on him. He said, and listen, he's got to try to find line. Obviously, fans are angry at the board, and so is he, obviously. But he cut a line today after the game. He said, he said, you can't chuck me a keys to a Honda Civic and ask it to be a Ferrari. And you're like, aye. But it's his job to make it race like a Ferrari. It's a quite. I mean, branding your team. Listen, I don't know what's wrong with a Honda Civic. I mean, I don't know, but that's pretty kind of damning kind of assessment of where this team is right now. These are perilous times for Celtic in general. I mean, the fans had this meeting with the board last week that went completely pear-shaped.
Yeah. The
demonstrations are going to continue. I say, but the manager now is getting dragged into it. And then just to put the kind of another little kind of side thing, obviously there's now going to be a big giant Aussie-shaped hole in shadow lingering over Celtic right now as well. Because the Rodgers contract obviously running down. He's now got the former boss and big hero Ange Postecoglou out of work as well. Which is another complication, because there's going to be some sort of people who love to see Ange back as well. So Rodgers is facing he is facing his most difficult period as Celtic manager, and including his original period when he first came back, where he was getting pelters from some fans. This is the hardest job he's got in his 2 spells. He'll need every ounce of skill to get through this period and still be in decent shape come January. And then comes January, did they get a big pile of money to go and fix it in January when you know that he's probably going away next summer? So Celtic are in a really perilous state right now.
Yeah, it's a really difficult position. I also look, Mick, and, I think there was initial high hopes for Ian Atchell because of his pedigree, because of the level that he's played at previously in his career. But that was always
what was that? I don't think there was high hopes for him. I thought it was ridiculed as a kind of panic day late by, and then I think there was people were pleasantly surprised by a couple of his early appearances. But since then, it's kind of tailed off. I think back to what people might have feared it might be.
Yeah, I think purely on the fact that he used to cost a lot of money. He used to play for Man City. He played at Leicester. I think there was reason.
So did Sammy Lee. Wouldn't sign him, but
I think there was reason to believe that if Andy's at a decent age, if he could get back up to anywhere near that level, he might still be a decent signing, even though it was done as an emergency issue after the closure of the transfer window. But now I think you're looking at him, and one, what happens if he gets injured? Because who do Celtic start with as a striker? But two, Ian Atchell's in there. He is fit, but he's not firing, and he looks a long way short of the quality that Celtic did have there. I'm thinking, when you had Kyogo and Giacomakis coming in and out of the team, when you had, I know that Adam Ida was hit and miss, but he was a good option to have. Celtic are just so short. It's actually quite incredible.
I don't think the problem is if any actually was signed in end of July as a kind of backup striker, and they brought another main striker in, I think nobody would have complained about it. I think he's a natural finisher. I think he will score goals. It would be handy, but he's clearly not been playing that often in the last kind of 18 months or so, and it's finding it a bit like difficult times. You've got to say he's not getting much service either.
No, he's not.
I mean, you look at today. I mean, Yang's playing wide right for Celtic. And listen, you don't want to be harsh to the kid, but he's not up to scratch to play for Celtic. I mean, he's had 9 starts this season, and this is a guy who had his bags packed in the summer and was getting shipped out. He'd never really done enough to suggest that he's a worthy, anything more than a squad player. 9 starts this season already. I mean, today, I don't want to be overly harsh, but 45 minutes he stunk the place out. Let's be honest, it was really, really poor. I don't think he did one single positive contribution in the first 45 minutes. Got hooked to half time. Lucky to make it to half time. But then, City are chucking on James Forrest and Johnny Kenny on a salvage mission. And you think, is this really where Celtic are right now? I mean, James Forrest at 34, getting lobbed on with Johnny Kenny, who was destined for another loan spell probably. and these are the guys that are thrown to salvage it. Think, how did Celtic allow themselves to get in this situation, really? When they're missing Dyson Maeder, when Dyson Maeder's missing there, injured, obviously. But again, he's been a shadow of his former self this season, should have been sold and replaced. And Arthur Johnson obviously isn't ready yet to come back yet. He's my big miss. But the problems are all over the place. I mean, and what you see now is that a lot of the kind of mainstays, the main pillars of this team who have carried it through the last 3 or 4 years, are looking a bit clapped out. I'm looking at guys like Cameron Carter-Vickers, poor today. Cameron McGregor struggled a bit again as well. And even guys coming back. I mean, Kieran Tierney, I thought, had a difficult afternoon. I mean, Dundee actually, when you think the problems is on the right-hand side with Tony Ralston and Yang down that side, you think it might be vulnerable, but instead it was the other side. I mean, Dre Wright and Cameron Congrave completely done it. I mean, I thought they two were sensational, brilliant. Yeah. I mean, they doubled up on Tierney. Made it a horrible afternoon for him, but he's really struggling. So, I mean, Celtic have got issues at every single department. And it's, but like you say, it's not something that's happened overnight. I mean, the land hasn't been going since the summer. And Rodgers himself has said this. We've got problems in the pipeline, and now these problems are manifesting. And it's up to him to try and fix it for the next few months.
Before we, before we let you get up the road, Mick, let me throw a few of the comments from Celtic fans at you, because there's plenty coming in. And as you sort of mentioned at the top of the show, Mick, it seems to be Brendan Rodgers, which is getting a lot of the flack. Mark says another shambles. A lot of them should be hunted and replaced by the players. Our elite manager doesn't rotate and he should be sacked tonight. Scott says Rodgers looks like he doesn't want to be there. David says he has to change shape. Tierney's legs have gone. Ralston's awful. AJ as a right wing back would give you an attacking option. Slabbering Cabbage says Rodgers has no answers. Every team knows the plan. Unless he changes tactics, Hearts could really pip us to the league. Pegleg says Chris Sutton is right. It's a bang average Celtic team with a rotten bench. And Thomas simply says, I can't remember the last time both Celtic and Rangers were so poor at the same time.
He's right.
I don't think you can disagree with a lot of that, really. As I say, I think Celtic have got major problems right now. So I don't see. I talk about Brendan Rodgers. I think he is now coming into focus. I think a lot is slightly unfair because he has been warning that this is probably going to be trouble coming down the pipeline, and it's now come to fruition. But I still do think. I also think that he has to do better with what he's got at his disposal. He needs to find a system, because the system he's got that he's used so well isn't working with these players. So the recruitment is completely left him. The squad doesn't work. That he needs to find a new setup. That's twice now. Done it against Braga and now against Dundee. He's went to a back three, went 3-4-3 in an attempt to kind of change it. I thought against Braga it worked for 25 minutes until they lost a dead-setting goal. Here, I don't think it did. To be honest with you, I don't think it does change the flow of the game. So that's something that's not quite working. I'm interested to see. I think Barlick Wisher came off the bench and was fairly lively. I thought Tunecki was pretty quiet today. Did he get a shot? But then the two are fighting for the same position. But that right side's a major. The width from the right is a major problem. So I don't know. And the reason why Rodgers has paid the big bucks to figure it out. But he's going to have to find some kind of system and setup that works for these players, because the current one isn't.
Do you think he has to do that for the Hearts game, Mick? Go there with something different?
I think he does have to. I think he will have to. I mean, if you're Hearts, you're thinking, get at this team, they'll get a bit of joy. I mean, Hearts, I watching them last night. They're everything that Celtic aren't right now. They're clinical, they're deadly. I didn't think for the first half they were that great last night. Get the goal, clinical, and in the second half I thought they were brilliant. And that's going to Derby Park and winning 3-0 is a seriously impressive result and performance, especially that second half. Yeah. Really clinical. I mean, the two kind of goals and on the kind of counter were superb, and that's what Celtic are lacking right now. So I mean, Celtic must have to go there and treat it like an away European tie. Got to Tynecastle next weekend. It's not like it's a tight pitch. It's the width thing out there isn't quite as important. So you have to find a new different way anyway sometimes. But right now, Celtic, I said he admits himself. He's Roger admits himself. He's struggling to find a solution to these problems and a setup that's going to make it the best out of these players. So certainly it's beyond my coaching capacity, that's for sure. But then again, I'm not on 2 mil a year. I'm in two bob a year in expenses.
Well, look, Mick, on that note, we'll let you get up the road. Thank you
I
so
let him
much.
go because he's making me feel cold now.
I tell you what, boys, it is a bit kind of peaky here. It's definitely a change in the temperature now. It's definitely not the same as Greece last week, that's for sure.
I feel really sorry for you, Mick. I really do.
I shouldn't have all these speedos here. That was a mistake.
Mick, safe travels up the road.
See you later, boys.
Cheers. Is it not usually like that Mick wears?
There's an image that isn't going to get erased from anybody's mind anytime soon.
Before we go back on to the Rangers story at the top of the show, Keith, just Rocky is one of a few people in the comments saying that Hearts will beat Celtic next week. This one says Hearts will win 3-0 minimum. Do you make Hearts favourites going into that game now?
Favourites. Do you know what? I don't know if you'd make them favourites. I don't know if the bookies will make them favourites. Do I think that Hearts have got more than a fighter's chance of a win in that game? I do. I just feel as if things are starting to align. Everything's falling into place for Hearts. And by the way, they've earned it. It's not like it's happening by accident. Yes, it's advantageous that Celtic are going through, a bit of self-destruction and that Rangers are, an absolute riot. So that's all helpful. But the Hearts have had to do a lot of the hard lifting for themselves. They've got the right manager. They've spent really wisely. They've built a really strong squad. And they're now producing performances at a consistent level on the pitch. It's built the momentum. You can tell the fans didn't want to leave Rugby Park after that game. They feel it. Something's growing. And you can just imagine what the atmosphere is going to look like and feel like inside Tynecastle when Celtic come calling. The place will be shaking. And that's a Hearts support that is really unified. They're behind their manager, they're behind the team, and they're starting to believe that something ridiculous could happen this season. And I think what would really send it over the edge would be to beat Celtic at Tynecastle. And, then we can all stop with having this debate. Is it a title race? Is it not a title race? Well, it is what it is. If Hearts go, what are they now? 5 points clear? If they go 8 points clear of Celtic at the top of the table, I'm afraid Derek can try and talk it down whatever way he wants to, and anybody can say what they want to say about, we can even get Swanee back on, and Swanee will say, come back to me at Christmas. Well, you can't have that conversation anymore. If Hearts go 8 points clear, this is a title race. You better be sure of that.
No, I completely agree. And we've got plenty of comments coming in on that. Let us know your thoughts on Hearts. I mean, Paul says he assures us that Hearts' target is still third, but I think you're right, Keith. I think if 5 points ahead at the minute, if they go 8 points next week, Mick mentioned the week after Celtic are in League Cup duty, Hearts could be 11 points clear before Celtic kick a ball again.
Target shift, right? You set your target. That's your sort of minimum requirement or your minimum aim for what you want to get out of the season. And that's realistic for Hearts at the start of the season, aim for third. 100%. Yeah. But the targets are shifting. They're shifting because Rangers have just lurched from one horror story to the next and are now without a manager. They've seriously downgraded their playing squad into the bargain. The targets shift because Celtic managed to come out of the transfer window so much weaker than they were going into it. And really look like a side that's got a serious sort of disillusionment about it. It feels Celtic feel directionless. So yes, I'm sure that is the target at the start of the season. Third is a legitimate target for Hearts to look at the start of the season. It's not. It shouldn't be. That can't be the target anymore. To take third place from the position that they're in now would be a real underachievement, I think, for Derek McInnes. And I think he would see that. There's no way you could go to Derek McInnes today and say, right, let's end the season. We'll go to me and you can take third place. No chance would Derek McInnes take that deal right now because there's more for Hearts out of this campaign. Yeah,
I agree. Look, a lot of people in the comments, Keith, asking us about the news at the top of the show with the Muscat deal. We've got plenty of comments on it, but for anyone that maybe missed it at the start of the show, should we maybe recap
Sure. Yeah, breaking news this afternoon. I was getting, deep messages about it right up until when we came on air. But something is not entirely correct with the Kevin Muscat deal. It's certainly not in the place where it seemed to be last Thursday night after Kevin Muscat had spoken with Andrew Kavanagh and Vice Chairman Parag Marath. Very positive conversation. It felt like everybody in that room was aligned, and that that was it. The manager had been found, identified, and it was then just a case of tying the whole thing down contractually. However, we believe that Kevin Muscat, subsequent to those discussions, then went into a different set of conversations with Chief Executive Patrick Stewart, Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell, and Greta Steinson of the 49ers. And whatever was said over the course of those meetings has effectively thrown up a stumbling block. So what seemed like a done deal is now no longer a done deal, and there are people around it who are getting very nervous in fear of the whole thing collapsing, which would be quite staggering if it came to that. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying there is an issue, an unforeseen issue, and Rangers are going to have to work pretty hard to get this thing back on track.
And we've got plenty of comments coming in. Let me get your take on these, Keith. Rangers is okay says, I'm telling you the damage that Kevin Thelwell has done in his short time at the club needs a Netflix documentary. From appointing his boy to that Chermita deal, the whole thing stinks. He needs chased right now, along with Patrick Stewart. Get them out of our club now. Alexander Cameron says, Thelwell and Stewart must go. They are the problem. Gorbo says, Muscat seems a sensible guy. He'll step away. John says, Muscat's found the same sticking point as Gerrard. Thelwell. So, I mean, there seems to be...
Can't agree with any of that. And look, do you know what? We can't say that I've not been raising this issue for a number of weeks, dating way back. Kevin Thelwell is, and I've said previously, he's not part of the solution, he is part of the problem. And that's a problem. That's a major issue that it's not yet been identified by the owner, Andrew Kavanagh. What is he seeing in Kevin Thelwell that nobody else sees? Why has Kevin Thelwell been given the authority, no matter what mistakes are made, that he keeps on blundering on, and it's one bad judgment to the next? And yes, I believe that Kevin Thelwell's name has come up in terms of the potential stumbling block for Kevin Muscat, as has Greta Steinson's, and that he can't be just because he's not got that much of a profile and because he's actually not got an official position in the club, his influence shouldn't be underestimated. He's a big player in all of this. He was a big player in the appointment of Russell Martin. Now, for me, if I was the owner and I put my trust in Greta Steinson and Kevin Thelwell to find me a manager in the summer, and they come up with Russell Martin, I'm afraid that's the worst manager in the history of Rangers Football Club. That's a sackable offence. So how many times will Andrew Kavanagh make the same mistake of putting his trust in people who are letting him down and making bad decisions? And yes, I think this is, Rangers fans are quite right to be absolutely dismayed by it, because it's a huge problem. And yes, appointing his son, 26-year-old, in charge of head of recruitment, it's staggering. It's almost feels like they're deliberately trying to insult the intelligence of their own supporters. So everyone's right to have their say and have an opinion on it. I hope it doesn't get too out of hand. But I think this is really where the owner and Parag Marath need to get together, identify this. This is an issue. It's not going to go away. And there are at least 4 or 5 glaring reasons now to sack Kevin Thelwell, to get rid of him, and Patrick Stewart for that matter. And I'm not sure that I'd have Greta Steinson anywhere near the command centre either. So these are major structural issues. I think they probably were very much part of the reason that Steven Gerrard, having chosen to travel 4,000 miles to get from Bahrain to London, all of a sudden decided that the timing was wrong. He had a lot of time to think about that on the plane trip. There was something else. He looked under the bonnet, and there was something that he saw that he didn't like, and it looks very much here as if Kevin Muscat might have similar concerns.
And the thing is, Keith, I mean, look, who knows what's going to happen next, but if Kevin Muscat isn't the next Rangers manager, if he decides it's not for him, where does that leave Rangers? I mean, God knows where that leaves Rangers.
It leaves them in an absolute hole, doesn't it? Without a paddle. Listen, maybe it's an easy fix, but I'm not saying that the Muscat deal is collapsing. I'm saying there's a problem that needs to get resolved before it can be finalised. One way or another, there's a stumbling block that needs to be removed, right? So you come back to a situation where there was rumours doing the rounds last week that perhaps Rangers had decided to call time on Kevin Thelwell. And at that point, you think that Muscat is involved in the discussions. This is interesting. But also there was, this suggestion, it's never far away, is it? Steven Gerrard, keep hearing Steven Gerrard rumours. It's going to be Gerrard that they've gone back. Well, there's no point in going back to Steven Gerrard while Kevin Thelwell's still there. So if you make a decision to remove Kevin Thelwell, does that open up a door, whether it's to Muscat or to Steven Gerrard? Say, right, okay, we hear you. We noted, what reservations you had, and we've done whatever we can do to remove that issue. So does that open up the possibility to go back to Steven Gerrard or to Kevin Muscat or whoever else? But as I said, as things stand, the Muscat deal isn't dead. He hasn't walked away from this at this point. But there's an issue, and it's a surprise. And I don't think many people could have saw that coming on Thursday night, when, to all intents and purposes, it looked pretty much like a shoe and a done deal.
Yeah. Well, whatever happens next, we'll have you covered on the Hotline Live with all of the latest news from Ibrox and beyond. Anything else we should raise, Keith, before we wrap up Sunday night's Hotline Live?
Well, I mean, what's the issue of another 2 drop points at Ibrox on Saturday, wasn't there? And, I really feel sorry for Steve Smith that, he's been sort of forced out to front this up. He's an under 19.
I thought he spoke well yesterday.
I think he's done everything as well as he possibly could do.
Yeah.
And I think that, by throwing out some of Russell Martin's worst ideas, he got a better level of performance. It was certainly a Rangers team that was going forward, passing the ball forwards, which is something that became a rarity under Russell Martin. The sideways and backwards sort of playing style that Rangers adopted there. So I think the Rangers fans would have enjoyed that first half performance. They're still fragile, incredibly fragile. And, they've probably done quite well to salvage a point at the end through James Tavernier. But really, I mean, where is this going? And I think it's genuinely unfair on Stevie Smith to be, shoved out front and centre in such a chaotic circumstance. So, as I said at the start, Daniel, it'll be really interesting the next couple of days, because if Rangers can sort the issue, whatever it is, with Kevin Muscat, and they can get pen to paper and agreement made, then I would expect Muscat's people, the people that he would want to put together as a backroom staff, I would expect them to get in next week and take the team to Bergen for the Europa League tie on Thursday night. If it's Steve Smith, then, as I said, I think what is an issue at this current moment will have become something far more serious than that. And where Rangers go after that, who knows?
Absolutely. And as I say, we'll have it all covered for you here on the Hotline Live with Record Sport. But for now, I think that brings to the end of Sunday's show, Keith. It's always an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.
We should say thank you very much to Michael Gannon at a freezing cold Dens Park. Much appreciated. And thank you so much for all the comments that have come in as usual. We'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Hope you can join us then. Keith, have a good night.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Dan.
Thanks for watching.